In a quaint, timeless village, there lived a wise father and his curious son. Their home was a small, humble abode filled with memories and love. The father, nearing the end of his days, called his son to his bedside. The son, sensing the gravity of the moment, approached with a mix of anxiety and anticipation. With a tender, almost wistful look in his eyes, the father handed over an old, time-worn watch. "This," he said softly, his voice tinged with the weight of years gone by, "is a watch that your grandfather gave me. It's almost 200 years old." The son, his eyes wide with curiosity, took the watch and examined it closely. Its surface, once shiny and new, was now dulled by the passage of time. Intricate engravings, now faint, hinted at a rich history. "Before I give it to you," the father continued, "I want you to go on a little journey. Take this watch and visit a few places to see how much they would offer for it. Start with the jewelry shop downtown." Excited by the task, the son hurried to the jewelry store, a place filled with glittering treasures and the allure of luxury. The jeweler, a seasoned professional with a discerning eye for valuable items, inspected the watch carefully. After a few minutes, he looked up and said, "I can offer you $150 for it. It's an old piece, and its age diminishes its appeal in today's market." The son, somewhat disappointed but intrigued, returned home and relayed the jeweler's offer to his father. "They offered $150 because it is too old," he said, the words tinged with a mix of confusion and acceptance. The father smiled gently, a knowing glint in his eye, and said, "Now, take it to the pawn shop." Off the son went, this time to the less glamorous surroundings of the local pawn shop. The pawnbroker, used to dealing in quick sales and often undervaluing items, glanced briefly at the watch. "I'll give you $10, he said, barely looking up. "It looks too worn out." Disappointed and a bit frustrated, the son returned to his father with the news. "The pawn shop only offered $10, he reported, shaking his head in disbelief. The father, still calm and composed, then instructed, "There's one more place I want you to visit. Take the watch to the museum." With a mix of hope and doubt, the son made his way to the museum, a place where history was cherished and preserved. The curator, an expert in historical artifacts, greeted him warmly. As the curator examined the watch, his eyes widened with amazement. "This is a rare piece," he exclaimed. "We'd be honored to include it in our collection. I can offer you $500,000 for it." The son, now astounded and barely able to contain his excitement, hurried back to his father with the news. The museum offered $500,000 for this very rare piece to be included in their precious antique collection, he said, still in shock. The father, now with a knowing smile, said, "My son, I wanted to teach you a valuable lesson. You see, the right place values you in the right way. Don't find yourself in the wrong place and get angry if you are not appreciated. Those who know your value will always recognize and honor it." As the son sat by his father's side, the weight of the lesson began to sink in. The watch, once seen merely as an old, worn-out object, was now revealed as a priceless artifact. Its value wasn't diminished by its age or appearance. Instead, it was enhanced by its history and rarity. The father's words resonated deeply within the son. He realized that much like the watch, people too are often misjudged by superficial standards. In one place, you might be seen as ordinary or undervalued, while in another, your true worth is recognized and celebrated. It was a lesson about seeking the right environment and the right people who appreciate your intrinsic value. The son's mind wandered back to his recent experiences at the jewelry store and the pawn shop. Both places had failed to see the true worth of the watch. The jeweler had dismissed it as merely an old item, irrelevant in today's market. The pawnbroker had seen it as nothing more than a worn-out trinket, barely worth his time. Yet, at the museum, the curator had immediately recognized the watch's true value. He had seen beyond its worn exterior to its historical significance and rare craftsmanship. This experience taught the son that true appreciation often requires a deeper understanding and the right perspective. Days turned into weeks, and the father's words continued to echo in the son's mind. He began to reflect on his own life and the places where he had felt undervalued. He remembered times when his talents were overlooked, his efforts dismissed, and his potential underestimated. He realized that, like the watch, he had been in environments that couldn't see his true worth. He had allowed others' perceptions to dictate how he saw himself, diminishing his own sense of value. But now, with his father's wisdom as a guide, he started to see things differently. The son began a journey of self-discovery, seeking places and people who could appreciate his unique qualities and contributions. He learned to value himself regardless of others' opinions, and to surround himself with those who recognized and respected his worth. This newfound understanding brought a sense of peace and empowerment, guiding him towards a life where he was truly valued and appreciated. The father, though nearing the end of his life, found comfort in knowing that he had imparted a timeless lesson to his son. He knew that this wisdom would guide the young man long after he was gone, helping him navigate the complexities of life with a deep sense of self-worth and confidence. As the days passed, the son cherished the watch not just as a family heirloom, but as a symbol of his father's enduring wisdom. He kept it as a reminder that value is not determined by superficial assessments, but by a deeper understanding of worth. The father's lesson extended beyond the son. It became a story that was shared with friends, family, and even strangers. Each time it was told, it brought hope and clarity to those who heard it, encouraging them to seek environments that appreciated their true value and to recognize their own worth. In today's world, the lesson of the watch and the father's wisdom is more relevant than ever. We live in a society that often values superficial attributes and overlooks deeper qualities. Many find themselves in situations where their true worth is not recognized, leading to frustration and a diminished sense of self. But the story of the watch reminds us that our value is inherent and does not decrease based on others' inability to see it. It teaches us to seek out the right places and people who appreciate our true worth and to never settle for less than we deserve. As we navigate our own journeys, we can draw strength from this timeless lesson. Whether we find ourselves in a jewelry store that sees us as outdated, a pawn shop that undervalues us, or a museum that celebrates our uniqueness, we must remember that our worth remains constant. We are like the 200-year-old watch, carrying a rich history and intrinsic value that cannot be diminished by age or external judgments. By embracing our true worth and surrounding ourselves with those who recognize and honor it, we can lead fulfilling lives where our value is always appreciated. In conclusion, the father's last lesson to his son is a profound reminder of the importance of self-worth and the need to seek environments that truly value us. The journey of the watch from the jewelry store to the pawn shop and finally to the museum mirrors the journey we must take in life to find places and people who see and honor our true worth. As we move through life, let us carry this lesson with us. Let us remember that our value is not diminished by others' inability to see it, and that we deserve to be in places where our worth is recognized and celebrated. In doing so, we honor the wisdom of the father and the legacy of the watch, living lives that are rich in appreciation and true to our inherent value. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video soon.